The call came at 2:47 p.m. on a Tuesday. I was under a Chevy Silverado, draining oil, radio playing classic rock, when my phone buzzed in my pocket. Unknown number. I almost didn't answer. "Is this Mr. Nathan Cross?" "Speaking." "Sir, this is Amanda from the Riverside Inn. We found a wedding ring in one of our rooms, and the inscription inside matches a reservation under your wife's name." I slid out from under the truck, wiping my hands on a rag. "I'm sorry, what?" "A wedding ring, sir. Gold band. Inscription reads Nathan and Claire forever. It was left in room 214 after checkout yesterday." My heart stopped. "Room 214? "Yes, sir. The reservation was under Claire Cross. We thought you might want to pick it up." I looked down at my own wedding ring, then at the photo on my toolbox, me and Claire on our wedding day. At a church, not a hotel. "Sir, are you still there?" "Yeah," I said slowly. "I'll be there in 20 minutes. I hung up, stood there in the middle of my garage, oil-stained rag in my hand, and felt my entire world tilt sideways. Because Claire was wearing her wedding ring when she left for work this morning. I kissed her goodbye, watched her walk to her car, saw the ring catch the morning light. So whose ring was at the Riverside Inn, and why was it inscribed with our names? If you want to know what I found in room 214, hit subscribe, because what the hotel didn't tell me on that call was that the room had been booked 17 times in the last 6 months, all under my wife's name, all on days she told me she was working late. My name is Nathan Cross. I'm 39 years old, and I've been a mechanic in Bend, Oregon for the last 15 years. I own a small shop, Cross Auto Repair, on the east side of town. 2 bays, 1 lift, and a waiting room with coffee that tastes like motor oil. It's not fancy, but it's mine. I built it from nothing. Started in my garage, worked nights and weekends, saved every dollar until I could afford to lease a real space. Now I've got 3 employees, a steady client base, and a reputation for honest work at fair prices. I'm the guy people call when their check engine light comes on and they don't want to get ripped off at the dealership. I wear Dickies work pants, steel-toed boots, and T-shirts with grease stains that won't come out no matter how much detergent my wife uses. My hands are permanently calloused. My knuckles are scarred from years of slipped wrenches and sharp metal edges. I smell like brake fluid and sweat most days, and I'm proud of it. Because I'm not just a mechanic. I'm a man who shows up, does the work, and keeps his promises. At least, I thought I was.
Claire and I met 12 years ago at a friend's barbecue. She was a dental hygienist, sharp, organized, the kind of woman who color codes her calendar and irons her jeans. I was the guy who showed up in a flannel shirt with a 6-pack of cheap beer. We shouldn't have worked, but somehow we did. She liked that I was steady, reliable, not flashy, just solid. I liked that she was driven, ambitious. She had plans, goals, a vision for her life. We dated for 2 years, got married at a small church outside Bend, 50 people, potluck reception, a DJ who played too much Garth Brooks. It wasn't fancy, but it was ours. I remember standing at the altar, watching her walk down the aisle and thinking, this is it. This is the woman I'm going to grow old with. I meant it. I thought she did too. For the first few years, things were good. We bought a small house on the edge of town, 3 bedrooms, fenced yard, a garage where I could work on side projects. Claire worked at a dental office downtown. I worked at the shop. We had a routine. Coffee together in the mornings, dinner most nights, weekends spent hiking, watching movies, just being together. It wasn't perfect. We argued sometimes about money, about chores, about stupid things like whose turn it was to take out the trash. But it was real, and I thought we were happy. The changes started about 2 years ago. Small things at first. Claire started working late more often. Dr. Patterson has me doing inventory, she'd say, or we're training a new hygienist. She joined a gym, started dressing nicer, new clothes, new perfume, a haircut that cost more than my truck payment. I just want to take better care of myself, she said when I noticed. I didn't think much of it. I wanted her to feel good about herself. Then came the phone. She'd always been casual about it before, left it on the counter, face up, no password. Suddenly, it was always face down, always in her purse, always locked. "Why do you need a password?" I asked once. "Nathan, everyone has a password. It's 2024. Fair enough. But then came the nights she'd step outside to take calls, the texts that made her smile in ways I hadn't seen in months. "Who's that?" I'd ask. "Just work stuff," she'd say, already typing back. I told myself I was being paranoid, insecure, the kind of husband who turns into a jealous mess over nothing. So I pushed it down. I trusted her. I shouldn't have. The call from the Riverside Inn came on a Tuesday. Claire had left for work that morning, like always, kissed me goodbye, told me she'd be home by 6. I was in the middle of an oil change when my phone rang. "Is this Mr. Nathan Cross?" "Speaking." "Sir, this is Amanda from the Riverside Inn. We found a wedding ring in one of our rooms, and the inscription inside matches a reservation under your wife's name."
I slid out from under the truck, heart pounding. "I'm sorry, what?" "A wedding ring, sir. Gold band. The inscription reads, 'Nathan and Claire, forever.' It was left in room 214 after checkout yesterday." I looked down at my own ring, then at the photo on my toolbox, me and Claire on our wedding day. "Room 214? "Yes, sir. The reservation was under Claire Cross. We thought you might want to pick it up." My mouth went dry. "What day was the reservation?" "Yesterday, sir. Check-in was at 2 p.m., check-out at 11 a.m. this morning." Yesterday. Claire had told me she was working a double shift, said she'd be home late. She'd come home at 10 p.m., exhausted, and gone straight to bed. "Sir, are you still there?" "Yeah," I said slowly. "I'll be there in 20 minutes. I hung up, stood there in the middle of my garage, oil-stained rag in my hand, and felt the floor drop out from under me. I didn't call Claire. I didn't text her. I just got in my truck and drove. The Riverside Inn was a mid-range hotel off Highway 97, the kind of place business travelers use. Clean, anonymous, forgettable. I'd driven past it 1,000 times and never thought twice about it. Now it felt like the center of my universe. I parked in the lot, walked through the automatic doors, and approached the front desk. A young woman with a name tag that said Amanda looked up and smiled. "Can I help you?" "I'm Nathan Cross. You called about a wedding ring?" Her face shifted, recognition mixed with something like pity. "Oh, yes. One moment." She disappeared into a back office and returned with a small plastic bag. Inside was a gold wedding band. I took it, held it up to the light. The inscription was clear: Nathan and Claire, forever. It was identical to the ring I'd given Claire 12 years ago. Identical, except Claire was wearing hers when she left this morning. I looked up at Amanda. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course." "How many times has my wife booked a room here?" Her smile faltered. "Sir, I'm not sure I can—" "Please," I said quietly. "I need to know." She hesitated. Then she turned to her computer, typed something, and stared at the screen. Her face went pale. "Sir, the name Claire Cross has 17 reservations in our system over the last 6 months. 17. The room spun. "Always the same room?" I asked. She nodded slowly. "Room 214. I sat in my truck in the parking lot for 20 minutes, staring at the ring in my hand. 17 times. 6 months.
I pulled out my phone and opened our shared calendar, the one Claire insisted we use to stay coordinated. I scrolled back, matched dates. Every time she'd told me she was working late, every time she'd said she had a training seminar or inventory night, they all lined up. 17 times she had lied to me. 17 times she had checked in to room 214. And she'd been careless enough to leave a wedding ring behind. But it wasn't her ring. So whose was it?
I didn't go home. I drove to the shop, locked myself in the office, and started digging. I pulled up our credit card statements, joint account, shared expenses. I searched for charges from the Riverside Inn. Nothing. She'd been careful. Then I checked her personal card, the one she used for work expenses. There it was. 17 charges, $129 each, all on days she'd told me she was working late. I sat back in my chair, staring at the screen, and felt something inside me break. Not my heart. That would come later. This was different. This was the moment I realized the woman I'd married, the woman I'd trusted with my life, had been living a double life for 6 months, and I'd been too blind to see it. I called my buddy Jake. He's a private investigator, used to be a cop before he went private. "I need help," I said when he picked up. "What's going on?" I told him. The call, the ring, the hotel records. He was quiet for a long moment. "You want me to follow her?" "I want to know who she's with." "Nathan, are you sure you want to know?" "I'm sure." He sighed. "Okay, give me a few days." It took 3 days, 3 days of pretending everything was normal, of kissing Claire goodbye in the morning, of asking about her day over dinner, of lying in bed next to her at night, staring at the ceiling, wondering who she'd been with that afternoon. On Friday, Jake called. "I've got something. You want to meet?" "Yeah." We met at a diner on the edge of town. Jake slid a folder across the table. "I'm sorry, man." I opened it. Inside were photos. Claire walking into the Riverside Inn. Claire in the parking lot laughing. Claire with a man. I stared at the photo. He was younger than me, mid-30s maybe, fit, clean-cut, wearing a suit. "Who is he?" I asked. Jake flipped to the next page. "His name is Ryan Holloway. He's a pharmaceutical sales rep, works for the same company that supplies your wife's dental office." My stomach turned. "How long?" "Best I can tell, about 6 months, maybe longer." I closed the folder. "The ring. Whose ring was it?" Jake hesitated. "I did some digging. Ryan Holloway is married, has been for 8 years. His wife's name is Emily." It clicked. "He left his ring at the hotel." Jake nodded. "And your wife panicked. She bought a replacement ring, same inscription, same style, so his wife wouldn't notice it was missing." I laughed. It came out bitter, hollow. "She bought a ring to cover for her boyfriend's marriage." "Yeah." I sat there staring at the folder and felt the last piece of my old life crumble. I didn't confront Claire that night. I went home, made dinner, watched TV. She curled up next to me on the couch, rested her head on my shoulder and said, "I love you." I said it back, and I hated myself for it. But I wasn't ready. Not yet.
I needed a plan. The next morning, I called a lawyer. Her name was Margaret Hale. She'd handled my business contracts when I opened the shop. Tough, smart, no nonsense. "Nathan," she said when I walked into her office, "what's going on?" I told her everything. The call, the ring, the hotel records, the photos. She listened without interrupting. When I finished, she leaned back in her chair. "Do you want a divorce?" "Yes." "Do you want to make it easy or hard?" I thought about that. About Claire lying to me for 6 months. About the ring she'd bought to cover for another man's marriage. "I want it fair," I said, "but I want her to know I know." Margaret smiled. "I can work with that." We spent the next week building a case.
Margaret pulled financial records, documented the hotel charges, got statements from the Riverside Inn confirming the reservations. Jake provided the surveillance photos. I provided the ring. "This is airtight," Margaret said. "She won't have a leg to stand on." "What about the house?" "Oregon is a no-fault state, but adultery can still impact asset division. You bought the house before the marriage. It's in your name. She'll have a hard time claiming it." "And the shop?" "Also yours. You started it before you were married. She has no claim." I nodded. "What's next?" "We file. We serve her, and we let her lawyer try to spin this." "When?" Margaret looked at her calendar. "How about Monday?" I smiled. "Perfect." That weekend, I did something I hadn't done in years. I went to the Riverside Inn. I walked up to the front desk. Amanda was there again. "Mr. Cross," she said, surprised. "Can I help you?" "Yeah," I said. "I'd like to book a room." "Of course." "Which?" "Room 214. Her face went pale. "Sir, I don't think—" "I'm not here to cause trouble," I said calmly. "I just want to see it." She hesitated. Then she typed something into her computer and handed me a key card. It's available." I took the elevator to the second floor, walked down the hall, stopped at room 214. I slid the key card into the lock. The light turned green. I opened the door. The room was generic. Queen bed, flat-screen TV, small desk, bathroom with cheap toiletries. Nothing special. But this was where my wife had spent 17 afternoons with another man. I stood there for a long time, just looking. Then I pulled out my phone and took a photo. Not for evidence, I already had that. For me, so I'd never forget what betrayal looks like. On Monday, Claire was served at work. I wasn't there. I didn't need to be. Margaret had arranged for a process server to deliver the papers at her dental office. Public, professional, humiliating. Claire called me 20 minutes later. "Nathan, what the hell is this?" "Divorce papers," I said calmly. "You can't be serious." "I'm very serious." "We need to talk about this." "We don't. My lawyer will be in touch."
I hung up. She called back. I didn't answer. She texted. I didn't respond. For 6 months, she'd lied to me. Now it was my turn to go silent. The next day, she showed up at the shop. I was under a car when I heard her voice. "Nathan?" I slid out, wiped my hands, and stood up. She looked wrecked. Red eyes, no makeup, hair pulled back in a messy ponytail. "We need to talk," she said. "No, we don't." "Nathan, please, this is insane. You can't just—" I pulled the ring out of my pocket, the one from the hotel. Her face went white. "This was left in room 214 at the Riverside Inn," I said quietly. "It's inscribed with our names, but it's not your ring, because you're wearing yours." She opened her mouth. Nothing came out. "It's Ryan's ring, isn't it?" I continued. "You bought it to replace the one he left behind, so his wife wouldn't notice." Tears started streaming down her face. "Nathan, 17 times, Claire. 17 times you lied to me. 17 times you checked into that hotel while I was here, working, trusting you." "I'm sorry," she sobbed. "I'm so sorry." "I don't care." She reached for me. I stepped back. "You need to leave. My lawyer will be in touch." "Nathan, please." "Leave." She stood there for a moment, crying, broken. Then she turned and walked away. The divorce took 3 months. Claire's lawyer tried to argue that she deserved half of everything, the house, the shop, my retirement. Margaret shut it down with the hotel records, the photos, the financial trail. In the end, Claire got her car, her personal belongings, and nothing else. The house was mine. The shop was mine. And I kept the ring. Not hers.
The fake one from the hotel. I keep it in my toolbox, a reminder. Not of what I lost, of what I escaped. 6 months after the divorce was finalized, I got a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Is this Nathan Cross? Yeah? Mr. Cross, my name is Emily Holloway. I think we need to talk. My heart stopped. Ryan's wife? Yes. We met at a coffee shop the next day. Emily was younger than I expected. Pretty, tired-looking, with the same haunted eyes I'd seen in my own mirror for months. I found out about the affair 3 months ago, she said. I hired a private investigator. He showed me everything. I'm sorry, I said. She shook her head. Don't be. I needed to know. We sat in silence for a moment. Then I wanted to thank you, she said finally. For what? For filing. For not staying quiet. When your divorce went through, it gave me the courage to file mine. I looked at her, really looked at her, and I saw myself, 6 months ago, broken, angry, lost, but also free. How are you doing? I asked. She smiled. It was small, but real. Better. Some days are hard, but I'm better. Yeah, me too.
A year later, I'm still at the shop, still fixing cars, still wearing grease-stained shirts, still driving the same truck. But I'm different. I don't trust as easily. I don't ignore red flags. And I don't settle for someone who sees me as a placeholder. The ring, the fake one from room 214, still sits in my toolbox. Sometimes I look at it and remember the call that changed everything. Sir, your wife's wedding ring was left at our hotel. We got married at a church, but her real vows were made in room 214. And I'm glad I found out before I wasted another decade on a lie. If this story hit home, comment room 214. If you've ever gotten a call that shattered your world, if you've ever found evidence you weren't looking for, if you've ever had to choose between the truth and the lie, this one's for you. Hit subscribe for more stories about the moment everything changes, because sometimes the worst call you ever get is the one that saves your life.